Okay. So the first thing we're going to go over is gamification. The first thing you'll want to do is log into your content management system. You may or may not have this up and running yet. If you are a new customer, you might be waiting on this. But once you have this in your hands, you'll have a fully branded URL that you'll go to load content. Ours is channelcandy.channeleyes.com, but for example, it would be xyz.channeleyes.com. So you're going to go to the settings panel, which looks like this little gear over here. It rests in between help and log out. And that's going to flip you into a series of different management panels where you can load different content that would then be sent through to your live application. Now, gamification lives under something called campaigns in this panel. It is the fourth one down, and this is where you're going to load a campaign. Now, campaigns are you can have a lot of different campaigns going on at once, and what a campaign is basically just a group of the activities you'd like people to do from a start and end time. So for example, I might have a campaign around a particular product because maybe we just launched a new product and I want people to, do some training, look at some white papers, send it to some potential customers, and make sure that they're logging into the app to see it. Whereas maybe at the same time, I have a specific campaign going on for my marketing team where I have them doing some social syndication posts and sharing those out. Maybe I have them completing a form or two, like a feedback form. So we can have two different groups of campaigns going on at once with different activities in them that would benefit that particular group or that time frame, because you might have a conference going on too, and maybe you have two different campaigns going at once where everyone who's at the conference is looking at this specific information, where other people are just using day-to-day app activities where they're getting rewarded for that as well. So the campaign we're going to go into today is just called Channel Candy Rewards. This is just our simple campaign, but I'm going to just crack this open so you can see what lives behind it and how these all plug in. Okay, so now when you go into this particular area, you give it a name. So we've named it Channel Candy Rewards, which you just saw. You can give it a logo. So for example, we have a particular customer of ours who had a spring break campaign. And during the spring break campaign, they were trying to get their users to submit a number of lead forms. And every time they submitted a lead form, they got points for it. So for their logo, we just use a little sun because it was for spring break. So you can use any logo that you want. It just has to be one of these particular image formats. So we take JPEG, GIF, and PNG, and we recommend using a square logo because it just fits best for the use case. You then put in a description. Now ours, we don't have one, but this would basically be maybe your point system. So maybe you have, you're going to get, let's see, I'll type it in here. 100 points gets you a Starbucks card. And then maybe 500 points gets you a $200 Amazon card. And then if you get 1,000 points, we're going to give you a flat screen TV. Okay, so this is where you might kind of break this out. You might give it a nice little title here. Now you have a campaign start and end. So if this has a specific time frame, maybe you're only doing it for a week, so you're trying to get everyone to get in here and hustle and do these activities. Maybe it goes on for 2 months, because maybe it's just something more general whereas it's very similar to this one where we just want people to check out the app. We want them to, go ahead and log in, check out our resources, kind of go through some training in real time so that they can get points for it and we can reward them. So if they've completed all of these different activities, we're going to give them a flat screen TV. So that's why this is so powerful, because normally they're just in here and no one's rewarding them for the things that they do, which, is pretty typical. But when you throw something like a Starbucks card at them for simply logging in 5 times in a month, it makes it a lot more useful, and you'll know that any messaging and news that you're pushing to them, they're seeing because they're going into the app. So my campaign, it started on 5/15/2014. So this has been going on for a little while now, because I'm just looking for people to use the app. And it never ends, because this campaign goes on forever. And as people hit their point systems, we give them the particular items that we're awarding to them. But we don't have a cap on this, but maybe you only want to run it for a month to get people a little more excited about it and in there with an urgency. You're also going to select the group that this is associated with. Now, in our case, we wanted everyone in our app to see this, but you could have, just your resellers, or if you have maybe a group set up for internal, and this is an internal campaign, you have a little bit of flexibility on who this is segmented to. But in this case, we wanted everybody a part of this campaign, so we selected My Partners, which acts as an all button. So underneath that particular area, when you're all set and ready to go, you're going to need to start loading in your achievements. So we have 4 achievements in this particular campaign. We have one called Discover Channel Candy. We have one called Change Persona. We have one called Download a White Paper, and one that is simply logging into Channel Candy. Now, I'm going to click on Edit here so that you can see what lives underneath this particular achievement, because this is the exact steps that a user has to take to gain these 25 points. So you give it a title, which is Discover Channel Candy, a pre-earned description. So this is what they would see before they've earned this. It's going to be, and I'm going to flip back into the app in a second, but it's going to be on a leaderboard kind of list. So they would see Discover the Channel Candy platform as something that they need to check off. Now, we've made it a little bit more mysterious than, some of our customers might actually say, change a tab to discover the Channel Candy platform. But in our case, we're making them work for it a little bit more, which, you kind of are making it a hidden point. And then when they earn it, it's going to drop down and read to them, you've discovered the Channel Candy platform, you've gotten 25 points. So when you're in the app and you're just doing your everyday thing, you're going to see a gold drop down that displays that particular label, which is that you've discovered the Channel Candy platform. Congratulations, you're getting 25 points. Now, in the points awarded area, you're going to put how many points you're going to give. This can be any point system. You could give them 1,000 points for this. You could give them 1. You just have to think about it in the way that you kind of start to piece together your particular rewards and how valuable they are, so you don't want to give away a TV for 25 points and then, give this particular thing away just by having them do this one achievement. You want to make them work for it. So we've awarded them 25 points for this particular achievement. And here's the activity dropdown. So this is where you're going to select within your app what this particular user has to accomplish to get those 25 points. And it doesn't take too much effort to figure it out. I mean, you can brainstorm about it, but what's going to happen is you're going to pick a particular action from this dropdown. So you can view, download, click, log in, email, change, post, search. So these are all things that are currently possible within the app. And once you select one of these, so I'm clicking change, the next dropdown is going to populate to whatever is built into your specific application. Whatever you have in your app that you are able to change, it's going to give you these options. So this system knows that in our app, you can only change a tab, which is a bottom button change, or a persona, which is a particular module we have in Channel Candy. Now, just for example, I'll show you another one here. So if I was to go to, let's see, click, this is going to change to anything that you can click on in our app. So we have Card Carousel, we can filter in the More menu, you can click on a group in our More menu, you can click on a link. So these are all the things that you can actually select. I'm going to select the Card Carousel. So all I have to do to get these 25 points is to click on the card carousel and open it to view it. For example, we have post, and you could drop this down, and we have a community, which means that our particular users that download this app are able to post on their own. So they can post an article or they can comment in our particular community group. So if this person posts something, they're going to get these 25 points. So I'm going to put this back to change tab, because that's what it was. So now, if you change a bottom button tab in our app, you will get this 25 points, and it's going to drop down. That's what's going to trigger it. Now you have a scoring limit as well. So how many times per campaign can this person get these 25 points? So we have a 500 point maximum per campaign, meaning that throughout the whole course of this campaign, which runs, forever, you can only achieve 500 points for this campaign. So you can't just only change tabs every day and rack up enough points to win a trip to the Bahamas. It's just not allowed. So we put a cap on this. And you can also put a cap on your daily limit. So for this one, you can only get 25 points, which is one, reward for this particular achievement a day. So you can't abuse it. You can't go in and just keep changing tabs and racking up points. We'll only give that to you once daily. Okay, so now that I've showed you this, that we have a couple of other achievements loaded in here, which I won't go too in depth with because it's pretty much, the same thing. It's just that instead of changing a tab, you have to change a persona, or you have to download a white paper, which is loaded into our resource center. So it allows us to specify those. So when I drop down the download activity, it's then going to populate the second drop down, and it's going to give me a whole list of all of the different things that we have loaded in there and things that that particular user could download. We also have a login reward. So all you have to do is log in and have that news screen or your home screen load up, and just by doing that, you're going to get 11 points. So let's go into this bottom part here, which is campaign goals. So I showed you how I broke this out before. I showed you that I have 100 points for a Starbucks card, 500 points for an Amazon card, and 1,000 points for a flat screen TV. So now basically what you're going to do is you're going to go down here, and these are your goals. So I have 3 different levels basically, and each one gets rewarded in some way. Set up in here right now, we have 2 goals. So we just have gold and platinum. Gold, you have to have 1,000 points. Platinum, you get 2,000 points. Now, each goal would have an associated reward to them. So, for example, my gold might be getting a Starbucks card, and my platinum is getting the flat screen TV. And to add a new goal, you're simply going to click here, and you're going to give it a name. So this might be silver. And silver, you only have to get 500 points. Okay, so there I added a goal, and it's just going to keep allowing you to add more goals if you click on here. But I'm just going to save this. And we're going to go back into the actual app so that I can show you what this is like. So I'm going to start over. So this would be a user coming in for the first time today, and I'm going to log in. Okay. Okay, so I've logged in, and remember for logging in you get 11 points. Here's that little drop down telling me to do that. So I've already gotten 11 points and all I've done is logged into the app. So this is why it's so powerful for your users, because they're just constantly getting rewarded for things that they might be doing already. So if you remember, all I have to do is change a bottom button and I get more points. I get 25 points if I change a bottom tab. So here I'm going to click on my filters. And you'll see, you've discovered the Channel Candy platform, 25 points. Okay, so that's how it presents itself in the app. Now, if I want to see how I'm doing, I'm going to go to where it's actually added in my app. So that's another thing. So if you have gamification, you'll have somewhere within the app where your users can go and see their point system. So ours is on our More menu. And I'm going to scroll down here to, sorry about that, my mouse is, campaigns. So we have a little subheading that just says gamification and campaigns. So I would click on that and it's going to load up for me. And I'm going to see, so it says Channel Candy Rewards, that's my title. It says it doubled up because we don't have a description saved, but like I said before, this could be a breakdown of your point system. This could be instructions on, when this starts and when it ends. I'm currently in, I'm a little bit past gold because I have 1,100 points. So over the course of this campaign, that's how many I have racked up, and I need another 900 until I hit my platinum level. I can click on my achievements, and that's going to show me how many things I've completed within this campaign. So this is how, before when I was telling you what the pre-earned description is and what the description is after you've earned it. So here, the only thing I have not completed is I have not downloaded a white paper. And the white paper is worth 100 points, so I should really get on that because that's going to change my score from 900 or 1100. So I'm getting closer and closer to that platinum level. And I've completed these 3, so I have a green check mark, and it's telling me how many points I've earned. So that is gamification, and that's how you set up a campaign. And like I said, setting up a campaign, you're just going to do it in the content management system. Once you click save, and we have an actual area for your campaign to live, like in our app. Where we have gamification on the More menu, we can attach it anywhere you'd like. It can even be a bottom button if you'd like. You may have a special campaign that you're running where, normally you have a campaign on your More menu, but maybe this one you really want to draw attention to. So, you move it from the More menu to a bottom button, and we can create different icons around it. So the particular customer I was referencing before, we actually built a sun bottom button for them because it was their spring break campaign. I've seen some customers do a lot of different things with that. So that is how you set gamification up. If there are any questions on gamification, I'll actually take them now because we have about 5 minutes until I'm going to start talking about the card decks. So if anybody has any questions about how to create them or point systems, please let me know now. Okay, so it doesn't seem like we have any questions about the gamification piece. Feel free to shoot me an email if you think of anything. I'm going to put my email address down in the chat so that you have it. Okay, so now we're going to move on to card decks or the card carousel. And first I'm going to bring up some specs for you, so give me 1 second. Okay, So this is a spec sheet for the card carousel. The way that the cards work and the way that they are designed is that they are 640 by 960, which is a typical phone screen. I would say, I think, an iPhone 5 phone screen. So it's a nice tall portrait size, and we use JPEG formatting for those. We do recommend that they're built in PowerPoint or in Photoshop, but as long as your final saved copy for the actual card carousel is saved as a JPEG, that is what our system accepts. And we have a couple of little tips here. So cards are arranged in decks, so you upload individual JPEG and then you're able to save them, a group of them as a deck. You can drag and drop them around. Best practice is 10 to 15 cards per deck, because you don't want to have your users flipping through too many decks. You don't want 50 different swipes, because I think you might lose their attention. I know for me, if I was going through a training review deck or something like that, I think if I had more than 20, I would start to my attention span would start to dwindle. So each card may have an action. So you can have your card flip over, you can link to a PDF, or you can link to a URL. So this means that per card deck, each individual card can have one action. So you cannot have a card flip over and then link to a PDF, or flip over and have a URL somewhere embedded on the same card. Once you click it, it's either going to flip over, link to a PDF, or link to a URL. Now, you don't have to have any of those actions. You could just have a flat card that people swipe. Best practice is to have, at least if you have your card flip over or linked to something, to have those cards at the end of your deck. Because if you have the card decks, you have 20 cards, you really don't want to put a URL on your first card, because the second somebody taps that, they're going to shoot off to, PDF or a URL, and maybe they, lose track of what they were doing, and, they close that out and they're out of the app. So we just want to make sure that maybe your last action card sends them to get more information if they're interested. Design a graphic button for action cards that flip. So here is another best practice. If you create a card to flip, you're going to want to say somewhere on that text or some way graphically that card flips and has a back, because we don't have any floating UI that just tells you to double tap. So a normal user is just going to go to swipe them, because we do have some arrows that float for a bit. So it's going to tell them to flip left or right, but it's not going to tell them that there's another action on that card. So for example, if the card flips, you're going to say tap for answer. Maybe you have a question on the front and answer on the back. Maybe you have an image of a product on the front and you want to say, tap for more info, and a PDF opens, or, it flips. So you just want to have to, incorporate those particular actions in some way. Text, maybe you have a play button, something that makes somebody want to tap on that photo. So like I said, the card specs are 640 to 960. For best results, use JPEG format with a quality of 30. So in most graphic programs, they're going to ask you what you want the quality of your particular card to be. It doesn't need to be, print quality by any means, but because it is a little bit smaller, but you want to make sure that everything stays nice and clear. And if you need any assistance with that, I'm happy to help. Allow 20 pixels at the bottom of the card for indicators. So we now are able to turn on and off the card numbering. So prior to this, we would state what card you were on and how many cards were left in the deck. You can hide this now, but if you did want, you're on card number 2 out of 20, you would definitely want to save some space at the bottom so that when it's displaying those over the top, it's not hiding or covering anything, because you may have a link or some other little piece of information. If you use the card number in the name, it might help when you're loading them as well, because you're going to be loading them as individual JPEGs, so you might get a little confused if you just have, 17 different cards that, don't have some kind of ordering in the name. Some ideas for card decks are product overviews, battle cards, sales scripts, reseller program highlights, solution guides, education and training. So those are some ideas and some ways to brainstorm what maybe some of your PDFs or some of your materials might already be able to plug into these. Now we have a template. It is a PowerPoint, and then we also have a template that is a Photoshop template. So whatever you feel more comfortable with. I actually enjoy using PowerPoint, even though I am a Photoshop person, because I like the fact that when I create all of my slides, they're all kind of in a PowerPoint format on the side, so I can see what slide I'm on, and I can see the whole collection. And I can create kind of like a template that I stick with throughout all the different cards with my slides in PowerPoint. And then when I go to save, I can save as a JPEG. And when I save as a JPEG, it actually puts them in a very nice little folder on my desktop that has all the slides numbered, so that when I do go and load them in, it's very easy for me. I can just go ahead and drop in slide 1, slide 2, and so on. So I do enjoy using PowerPoint just as a best practice kind of view. If you have a graphics department, they're probably just going to want to use Photoshop, which is fine because that's what they're comfortable with. But if you're not a graphics guru, I suggest asking for the PowerPoint template. Okay, so let's go back here. And we're going to click on the decks panel. So this kind of lives closer to the bottom here, and the decks are pretty self-explanatory. We have 4 in our Channel Candy app right now, but today we're going to start a brand new one because I want to walk you through the process of loading them. So if you want to create a brand new deck, you're going to click Add Deck, which if you've been on any training sessions before, you know that anything green with a plus sign means a brand new action. So we're creating a new deck here. And my deck is I'm just going to call it my Amazing ChannelEyes deck. Okay, and my description is going to be, so this is going to display in a list in the app, so I want to make sure that I give some kind of description on what's actually in this deck. So in my deck, and it's funny because I don't even know what sample I'm going to use yet, so I'm just going to make something up here. Training deck to help you understand the Channel Candy app and okay, so there's my description. Now you're going to see some options here. I can hide the deck in the app. The only reason why you'd ever want to do this is maybe because this deck is waiting approval, or maybe something's out of, maybe you're doing some version control, you realize you've got some old products on here, some old information you need to update, and you need to hide it from the deck, the app immediately. You can click that. But that's basically, it just means that this deck will not be displayed anywhere. You can hide the card numbers. So this is something that we just talked about. We now have the functionality to hide those card numbers, and I don't want them displayed on mine because I didn't think ahead and I did not leave space on the bottom for those numbers. And, I don't really like them because my card deck is very clean, and I don't really want anything to distract people. You can also show on main wall. So what this is going to do is it's going to create a little shortcut on my news wall to send my users to this. So it's basically just plugging what I just updated. So I'm going to create this card deck, and without having to send a post up to my wall telling everyone that I just did this and to go check it out and the exact steps to find it. This is actually just going to post a shortcut to this particular amazing ChannelEyes deck, and all they have to do is click on it and it's going to shoot them right over into that deck. So it's just a really great way to announce all of the updates that we've just made. I'd like all of my partners to see this. So I've selected my partners, but if this is a deck that is segmented to a particular group, because maybe you have a particular group of people who are only selling one product, so you don't really need everyone involved in that deck. You could do that, or maybe you're segmenting a particular group for training purposes, or maybe it's like an onboarding process, whatever it might be, you can select the group that it goes to. And my tag is going to be Channel Candy, because that's what my deck is about. Okay, so once you've gone through these steps, you're going to save. And this is one thing that could be a little confusing because you see nowhere here how to add cards. Well, you have to have an actual deck name and all of these properties selected before you can add those. So I'm going to click Save. And my deck was successfully created. So now if I scroll down, I'm going to see that I can add a new card here. Okay, so this wasn't there before. So you just need to make sure if for some reason you're not seeing these buttons and these options that you have, created the deck itself and saved all of its properties first. So I'm going to select new card. And what happens is it's going to ask me for two different images. It's going to ask me for a front image and a back image, and it's going to ask me for a URL. So now I said before, you don't have to have an action on a card. You don't have to have a back. You don't have to have a URL. You can. It depends on what kind of deck this is. Mine doesn't have a front and back. Mine is just one front image deck the whole way through. There's no actions, so from start to finish you're just swiping to the right, and if you want to go back you go to the left. So I'm not making this one complicated. I just want to get my point across about all the functionality in our app. So now you're going to click Choose File, and it has to be living on your desktop. So I have Simplify Your Channel Card Carousel. Now if I click on this, you're going to see I have all of my different pages here, and this was one of the best practices. So I'm going to select page 1 because I know that's my first card and click Open. Okay, so now I have my first card attached. I have no back, so I don't have to worry about that. I have no URL I want this to go to, so I'm going to ignore that, and I'm going to click Save. So you're going to wait a little, maybe a couple of seconds before that generates, because it's, it needs to upload the image. Once it has generated, you're going to see it down here. It's going to display a little preview for you. So I see my front. I see I have no back, which is fine. And if I click on properties, it's basically just going to open this section again. So if you do make a mistake and you need to go back and add a back image, you can do that. Or if you decide you want to add a URL, you can. Okay, but I'm going to click cancel because that's the way I want it. And then I'm also going to see it down here in a light tray. And this is big for when you start to load more than one card, because I'm going to show you how easy it is to just rearrange them. So now once I have this card, I'm going to start adding more. Okay, so I have my first one. I'm going to go back to my new card. I'm going to choose a file. I'm going to go to my page 2 because that's my second card. I'm going to open. And as well, this is just a front image, so I can automatically just jump right to save. It's going to take a couple seconds to generate. And you're going to see it down here in the light box. So now we have our first card and we have our second card. If you click on it, you'll see these options. So that's also really great, because if you need to make a change after your card deck's already saved, you can just click on that particular card. You can delete it. So maybe this had old information on it. I don't want it in here anymore. I can delete this card. Maybe now we have a whole section of our website built out around this particular card, and I want to add a URL. I can click on properties and just drop it in and save it again. Okay, so I'm just going to add a couple more cards here. And we'll add one more. So we have 4 cards in our deck. Okay, so here we've got our 4 cards loaded. We've got Charlie here with all the different programs and companies that we have on board. We've got, a little bit of about ChannelEyes. We've got our 4 cards, but I've decided that I want this Charlie card first. So it's simple as just clicking this card and pulling it. Okay, so now I have that as my first card. But then maybe I change my mind and I want to put him on the second card. That's all I need to do is just drag it around. It automatically saves, so you don't have to worry about a thing. So once you've uploaded these, there's no save. It's all auto save, and then I have this all set up. So now I have all of this information here. I'm going to go back to the actual app and show you what it looks like. So let's see here. Okay, so I'm back in the app now, and I have asked my card deck to show on the main wall, remember? So here it is, my amazing ChannelEyes deck. And here's my description: trading deck to help you understand the Channel Candy app and all the great functionality. And I have tagged it as Channel Candy, so I have this little tag here in pink because that's the color that I decided I would like that tag. And this is a shortcut. So if I click on this, it's going to bring me directly to that deck, just like I said. So there's no letting people, sending a post and telling everybody that, hey, I just updated this new deck. You have to click on more and then go here and then go there. You just are dropping it right in there for them. So it's just a really nice handy dandy shortcut. I can scroll through here. I see exactly how I laid out my cards. So here are my 4. I don't have my card numbers being displayed because I said I don't want those card numbers there. So that is the shortcut. And I'm getting my gamification points because I'm clicking around in the app. You're also going to see a little 1 here, which means that I have a brand new news wall post, which is my amazing ChannelEyes deck. So that's also helpful because not only is it right there, I just did this, I have a little alert. So now if I go into card decks, you're going to see on the bottom my new amazing ChannelEyes deck. So it's instant. The moment I click save, it's in my app, and I don't have to worry about, reaching out to us at ChannelEyes to connect it. It's just there. And I'm going to have a little thumbnail of my first card, and then I can also view it through here. So you have the shortcut on the wall, and then you have your card deck area because you're going to want an area where you can house all your different card decks. And then these are all the other ones that we have. So if I go to my feature carousel, I can swipe left and right through here. It'll tell me a little bit about some of the products that we have. It's just a really great way to get information across without boring your users to death. Now on this one, we have the actual card number displayed. So for this one, I know that I'm on 6 out of 14 and so on. So in mine, I had that hidden. But that is how you load a card deck into the app. And like I said, it's simply a PowerPoint or Photoshop template. They're flat JPEGs. So something to remember is they are flat JPEGs. So if you are on a device right now, there's no double tapping or pinch and zooming. It's a flat image. So that is something to keep in mind when you're building these. Because when you're building out these particular decks, you need to make sure that you have everything is a big text. It's graphical. You're not using very small small font, because when you are on a device or a tablet, I mean, a tablet is a little bit easier to view, but it's not going to be the same experience as if you were opening a PDF that was very text heavy, and you know, you can't do that pinch and zoom. So anything that's there is the way that it is. So that pretty much wraps up all of that. It looks like we might have a question. Gillian, did you have a question? I will unmute you. Hang on one second here. Okay, go ahead.
Can you hear us, Heidi?
Yep, I can hear you.
It's actually Jillian and Mark and Jen who've all been sitting in here.
Hi, how are you?
A while there, we didn't actually see the demo when you were on the emulator. It was still back on the page showing just the overview of the slides.
Oh, okay.
So it did eventually flip, but just at the tail end.
Okay, well, let me go back over what I was just talking about then. Hang on one second. Thanks for letting me know. Okay, so we'll just go back here. I'm just going to start over because I think what we missed was actually seeing the app here. So, okay, so what we went over was, as you can see, I have my shortcut here. So I created the card decks, and I can see where I did that with this little shortcut here, and it automatically posts to the wall. And you have a little icon that resembles my card deck icon, so that your users can, you know, kind of learn that behavior and know that, you know, we've made some updates. And then by simply clicking on this, you're going to load the card deck up that you just, you know, you just put in the content management system, and you'll see it's in the order that I put it in. And you'll see down below, I don't have the card numbers. So they're not displaying because I asked to turn them off because I didn't really like them for this particular design. I wanted it to be really clean and simple. And then also, if I go to my card deck's bottom button, you're also going to see, if I scroll down to the bottom here, that my brand new card deck is down here. So it automatically generates. So the moment that you click save, you're going to see that. So I'm going to click in, and it gives me the same functionality as kind of like the little shortcut on my news wall, and it's in the same order. And then if I go back, you know, you'll see the little thumbnail, you see my title and my description just like I typed it in. And then if I go up a little bit here, I'm going to open this feature carousel just so you can see the difference. So this is one that we asked to have the card numbers displayed on. So you'll see 1 through 14, and as you go through them, you'll be able to see, you know, what one you're on. Sometimes this comes in handy if you have a front and back, because, you know, you'll flip it, but that person will know that they're still on the same card, because the front and back do not count as, you know, 2 and 3. It would be 2 front back. So if they kind of start skipping along and they don't flip them over, they'll jump. So that's just something to know. I think that's pretty much it. Does anybody have any other questions about the card decks? You can either raise your hand or you can ask a question in the chat. Okay, so we have one question. Can I save a PowerPoint as a card deck? So you can, but a lot of people get a little bit confused because they think that they can take like a 20 slide presentation and just save it and load it into the card deck area. And it really won't work out the way that you are hoping. What's going to happen is, you know, if you have something that's loaded in, that has all those graphics, and it's actually, the PowerPoint template that we use is more portrait size, so it's not, you know, the full screen PowerPoint screen that you're used to. Is actually sized to that long 640 by 960 size dimensions. So you'll actually you can use, your existing PowerPoint. You just have to use our template and kind of drag things over or, rearrange them. You might have to trim down some of your text. But you can use a pre-existing PowerPoint. It just needs to be sized correctly and saved as a JPEG. Okay, somebody else is typing a question here. Okay, can I change the thumbnail to the card deck menu? Right now, we just use the first card. There is a possibility that we could load something else into that area if maybe you just want to use an icon or maybe you come up with some kind of logo for that particular card deck. That might be something we could do. I will have to get back to you on that. Good question. Okay, where do most customers put their card deck module? I think it varies. Some people put them on their More menu. Some people use them as a bottom button. I would suggest placing them as a bottom button. I would suggest any additional modules that you've purchased being displayed as a bottom button, mainly because those are your most important and powerful tools. So I don't think you want to hide them away under More. Sometimes depending on what modules you have, if you start plugging in some new ones you didn't have before, we can rearrange your bottom button layout. But I would suggest putting it as a bottom button. And of course, you can name it whatever you'd like. So if you decide that card decks doesn't really work for you, maybe you want to come up with a clever name. We've had people use things like smart tips and, flashcards, library. I'm trying to think of some other ones, but, you get the idea. So they could be branded around your particular product. It doesn't have to be, just cards or something like that. Okay. It looks like we don't have any more questions, so I thank you all for joining me today for the advanced training on the Channel Candy app and the content management system. Again, I'm going to place my email down below in case you need to reach me, and also a training URL to ask different questions and place your feature requests. Thank you all for joining and have a great day.